And now let's look at a couple of categories that serial killers are generally broken into. So, let's take a look at this individual here. Some of you may have seen his movie with Zac Efron. This is Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was an attorney. Well, he was studying to be an attorney. And when he was caught, he defended himself in court. He actually did a pretty good job. However, there was a lot of evidence against him. He always had a girlfriend, and he was charming, and he always looked neat, dressed nicely. There's Ted Bundy, there is John Wayne Gacy, and there is also Richard Kuklinski from the previous slide. John Wayne Gacy was he would dress up as a clown. He would go to children's parties. He was married. He was part of the community. These types of serial killers are what we call, they're organized. The organized serial killers. They're social. They have friends. They have boyfriends or girlfriends. They are married. They have a normal IQ. They have a very controlled crime scene, and they look nice, and they have a nice car. So these are what we call the organized serial killers. Ted Bundy would always usually trick his victims. He would pretend that he needed help. He would have a cast on his arm, and he would say, "Would you please help me with my books? I need help." And then he would hit them. He would have a crowbar hidden in the sling where his arm was, and then he would hit the victim in the back of the head, and he would push her into his Volkswagen car, and there was no passenger seat, so everything was organized. Now here we have Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer was not a typical serial killer. He was gay, so he was not a typical serial killer because he was gay. He would also partially eat some of the victims. A lot of the victims were male prostitutes, and he would eat part of the victims because he wanted the victims to be part of his life and to be part of him forever. So he was part cannibal. Ed Gein, Jeffrey Dahmer, and then Richard Ramirez from the previous slide. Now these individuals are what would we call the opposite of the organized serial killer. These are the disorganized serial killer. They're kind of socially awkward. They don't really fit in too well. Jeffrey Dahmer falls into that category, which is why he had to get male prostitutes. Their IQ is below normal. Crime scene, very messy, very random. They're difficult to catch because they are so random. They might look a little dirty. They might have a junky car. So these are the disorganized serial killer. These individuals are difficult to catch because they are organized. These individuals are difficult to get because they are so random. This is the Volkswagen of Ted Bundy. It's in a museum in Washington, D.C., the Museum for Criminal Justice. And if you notice that the passenger door is open, they want to show you the inside, where the passenger seat is missing, because Ted Bundy would hit his victim on the back of the head, and they would collapse into the Volkswagen, and then he would drive away. Well, that's the chapter on deviance. I want you to be familiar with the terms and become familiar because you're going to see them again on the exam. I hope you enjoyed the chapter, and I wish you good luck when you do take the exam.